I would like to begin today's presentation by passing it over to Karen, one of our sales engineers with LexisNexis InterAction.
Thank you, Julia. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm going to focus on, like Julia said, InterAction IQ, and we're going to talk, I'm going to talk about a little about what is InterAction IQ. We're going to have a brief demo, and then we're going to come back and talk about the administration side, some of the options of being able to configure InterAction IQ. So InterAction IQ, or sometimes you may hear of this as the Enterprise Relationship Management, ERM. It's a general term in the marketplace. So many people associate ERM to specifically to those systems that mine information from email systems to identify relationship and strength relationship. This specific functionality is what InterAction IQ is all about. InterAction IQ as a standalone solution, however, doesn't provide the ability to manage your relationships. That is where InterAction CRM fits in. InterAction is a form of ERM, and it incorporates the InterAction IQ as a complement to its full CRM features. So by combining the InterAction CRM, Customer Relationship Management, and InterAction IQ ERM capabilities, you can now be in a better position to make the best decisions by using this to help your firm grow its business. So what are the key benefits to InterAction IQ? One is it has a more robust profile, gives you a more robust profile of your prospects or clients. By having that IQ score and combining those capabilities with InterAction CRM feature, such as data on a contact record, academic background, calendar activities, it gives you a total 360-degree view to all your relationships to understand your prospects and clients better. Helps increase business development activity. Okay, who has the strongest relationship with key decision makers to help me win more business within my firm? And again, then at least protect relationship with your most important clients. Your relationship with your relationships are your firm's most valuable assets. You want to be able to protect them by understanding, for example, which contacts need to be supported when a key member of your team leaves. Issues occur with clients all the time, from billing to sales. You want to know exactly who's dealing with them and at what frequency. IQ will help you understand who has the strongest relationship with a given client to adjust these and allows you these three key benefits. So what is IQ? IQ, I look at it as it does three things to strengthen InterAction. Now when I show you these three things, keep in mind that you have the option. It doesn't have to do all three things at once. It can do these three things. You can choose what you want it to do. And we'll go over the configuration at the end. The first thing it can do is it can add new contacts to the InterAction database by scanning those through emails and identifying potential new contacts. Okay? InterAction uses the email addresses to match those mind contacts with existing contacts in InterAction. So if there's no match, a new contact can be created. It identifies undiscovered relationships, again, through that communication, and can create a relationship. And then it can also calculate relationship strength based on quantifiable data, which we'll discuss, and give that relationship a score or a strength. Who has the strongest relationship with this given client? And this is just through communication. But what it also can do, InterAction IQ do, is it can increase that strength, because as you know, whether I'm emailing a person, if I pick up the phone and I call a person, that activity of that phone call, I can monitor that and I can say, hey, a phone call as much as a higher strength than just an email. Or better yet, when I physically schedule a calendar item or a meeting with that person, that may increase my strength to 5. So InterAction IQ has the ability not only to create new contacts, create relationship, create new strengths, but also update and monitor that strength. So on a high level, how does it work? Okay. You can see in the middle there's a mining engine. I basically refer to this as the brains of the operation. Okay. For the technical people in the audience, what we do is that mining engine makes MAPI calls to our to the database exchange, the exchange database store. This provides a much more security control than a full access to the exchange logs. So again, we make MAPI calls to the exchange database store. But let's go back to the higher level. So that mining engine, what it will do is it will look at your professional's Outlook accounts like we discussed a few minutes ago. And it's going to say, hey, it can go ahead and look at the new contacts being mined, the new relationships being mined, all from that database, from the exchange. Okay. It also will look at to the right to the InterAction and look at and the red will pull back the activities and analyze what activities are going against those contacts. And what it will do is create a score. So in the green, that mining engine then will push the new contacts, the new relationship, and the calculated store into the InterAction database. Okay? But notice what at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice the InterAction IQ database. All this data is collected and analyzed in a completely separate databases, 4 to be precise, so as not to adversely affect performance of core InterAction while that harvesting, what we call harvesting or mining, and the analyzing processes run in the mining engine. Okay? For those technical people, those databases can be on a completely separate database server or database instance. So for sites without extreme volume, we find that they can be stored on the same database server as the InterAction database. We have best practices all around setting up InterAction IQ and the volumes related to that. But notice that the type of configuration at the top of the screen. There's configuration that tells the mining engine what do we want to pass over to InterAction, when do we want to pass new contacts over, do we want to create new relationships, or do we just want to update scores? And we'll cover that at the end during configuration. But on the right of the screen, you're going to see what are the elements that impact that strength rating, such as the frequency of emails. How often our emails are going back and forth between me and Jane Tarnoff? Is it 5 days versus 5 minutes when she responds to an email? Because that makes a difference on that strength. Okay? Am I in the 2 versus the CC or the blind carbon copy? So all this stuff comes into the algorithm or the secret sauce that makes up that strength rating. So let's go ahead and jump in and actually take a look at a live demo and see where these strengths or where I can surface or where I can see this InterAction IQ. So I'm going to show you different interfaces. This view is from the InterAction web client for users who live in this interface. Okay? When viewing a contact in the web client, such as Jane Tarnoff, okay, under the related people, companies, and organization section, my coworkers who know this person, or we refer to this as the who knows who, you will now see an InterAction IQ column and the cellular bars. Okay. Again, this IQ indicates who in the firm has the strongest strength with Jane, and I can leverage this person with the highest score. So one of the things I can do is actually just sort on the score and actually see I have several coworkers with the highest score. Okay. You also, I want to point out in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a cellular bar, and this is my relationship strength indicator, the number 3 average, with Jane. Now I want to point out here and be clear here. With InterAction's Who Knows Whom feature, users indicate, this is the Who Knows Whom feature, that they know a contact by adding a knows relationship, or selecting this box up here. It's a very subjective. The strength of the relationship between two people is basically a subjective decision on the part of the user entering that relationship. Okay? InterAction IQ provides a very objective point of view of a person's relationship by calculating that relationship strength score. So a relationship strength with a contact is determined by the touch points that we talked about. No additional effort is required by the professional. But both the relationship strength and the calculated strength are important to me as a user to provide me that 360-degree view of the person's relationship with the contact. So for example, if I have a relative who's a CEO at a top client, because I very rarely email my relative, InterAction IQ score is going to have a low calculated relationship score for that person. However, I may, in the who knows whom, have a very, I may market as strong, he's my relative, use me. So again, I'm just pointing out here how the two interact with each other and how it can provide the end user a true relationship of really who that contact is to the firm. Also, too, take for the other example, I can go ahead and I can look for Intel. When I search for the Intel Corporation, I can look at the who knows whom, and it's beneficial for me to see the strength of the relationship of who has the strongest relationship with the who knows whom at that corporation. And again, I can sort on IQ score. And I can see when I'm looking at Intel that I have several people in the firm that not only know Jane but have a score with Jane versus other people at Intel. So as a user, I can definitely leverage the fact that I'll jump directly to these people within my firm to help me win more business because they've got that highest score with obviously the contact Jane. Okay, other areas, let's go ahead and look at the Windows client. This is the power user client. This is where marketing would live or business development. Just to show you where I see this score, here's Jane's record. I search for Jane, and when I select Jane, again, I would see this in the view of the who knows whom relationship. I can see the IQ score and the relationship. And last but not least, when I'm looking at my Outlook, this is my interaction. Not my interaction, my Outlook, Microsoft Outlook. And this is my interaction for my Microsoft Outlook panel on the right-hand side. And if I receive an email from Jane, or whether I search for a contact, if I receive an email, I can just hover over her connection, and in the flyout, I can instantly see who has the strongest relationship strength with Jane. Or if I search for a contact, again, if I search for Intel or another person, I can see that contact detail record. So if I look at Intel, I can see that contact detail record. And I can look at all the connections. And with the who knows who relationship, I'm able to see who's got the highest scores to Intel. So let's go back and talk about, this is great. I can now leverage who's got the strongest relationships at my firm. Let's go back and talk a little bit about how does all this information get to InterAction. And that is the configuration side. One of the things when we were looking at the IQ score, one of the things in the administration screen is I can go ahead and configure it saying, you know what, these are my strength levels and these are the descriptions I want to use. Remember that mining engine in the middle that produces, the mining engine produces a raw calculated score from 1 to 100, and then you have the ability to assign from levels 1 to 5, a minimum score of 1 is 1. When it hits at least 5, then we'll give it a strength level of 2. The default is 5. You have the ability to configure up to 10 strength levels, but majority of our customers usually use the default 1 through 5. What our customers will do is they will change some of the description to have it more relevant to how the firm wants to describe those strengths when someone is looking at the IQ score. The other thing, a configuration item in the administration screen that you'll want to consider is what data do I want to mine? So remember, there's two areas. Remember that mining is we're pulling information from the Outlook. Okay, what is, for my email system, what is the information I want to look at? Do I want to look at my received messages? Do I want to look at when people are emailing, sending emails, and then when people are scheduling within their calendars? Take that all into calculation. And then, of course, the interaction system. What's the interaction activities coming from interaction that I want to mine? We have unlimited activities types. In this case, you're just seeing meetings and phone calls. Okay? You can set this up, and at any point, you can always come back here in time and change this as needed. Okay? This is another configuration screen. This is where you're going to tell InterAction IQ how the contacts and relations are going to be pushed, synchronized back into InterAction. Once this is configured, you just turn it on and it runs, and it's basically the rules. So we can start from the very basic. One of the very basic things that you can decide as a firm is, say, no, well, look, this is all I want InterAction IQ to do. All I want it to do is take my existing relationships in my environment and just put a score next to them. That's what you see at the bottom. Okay, the second thing it can do, or the next level, it can create the nodes relationship and the contacts. So maybe at this point you decided, not only do we want to score the relationships, but we want to be able to, if the contact doesn't exist in InterAction, let's go ahead and create it. And if the relationship doesn't exist in InterAction, let's go ahead and create it. But we also give you the flexibility to add contacts and relationship that you deem relevant. So for example, you only want to create a new person or a new relationship if the calculated score exceeds a certain number. Because at that point, then that relationship means something to our firm. You also may be interested in an include list and an exclude list to make sure you're creating just the contacts and relationships that you want. So for example, we have some firms that focus on the top clients, a top 200 focus. So where you only create a new person contact or relationship, you're only going to create that for persons at key companies in the include list. And then you have the exclude list. I don't want to create relationships. I don't want to create people or contacts if they belong to a particular company or a domain, such as AOL.com, Gmail.com. I don't want that data coming into the interaction. And the last point I want to point out here is when a new contact or relationship gets created, you have the option to add that new contact or creation to a user's contact list at the same time. Some firms find this feature helpful because it can encourage user adoption and it can help grow users' contact lists. Okay? Now let's talk about the privacy concerns, because this is always an issue. You'll have some end users, they'll say, I don't like this big brother effect, or, I'm concerned about my attorney-client privacy. What exactly is it mining? When I add new contacts, how's that affecting my back end? Am I going to get all these, new contacts just being dumped into InterAction? So we address a lot of these concerns. First of all, your data change management is going to follow the DCM new contact rules that you have in place. All new contacts, IQ will follow those existing DCM new rules. You can also source those contacts. You can also have an option saying any new contacts that InterAction IQ creates, we can put them into a folder, a specific folder called InterAction IQ, and that data steward or the person in charge of that can come in and handle that. And that data steward can decide whether or not those contacts should be exposed to the rest of the firm. We only mine the email headers, never the subject, never the body, never the attachment. We only email the headers such as the to, the from, and the date and time. Users can also, if they're concerned, they can have an anonymous relationship. This is a user by user specified setting, and any relationship, if they opt to stay anonymous, all relationships by that user will be created anonymous in InterAction. And we will not create contacts that are private. So if contacts are marked private in Microsoft Outlook or exist in the user's collection only, they're not synchronized with InterAction. We won't create new contacts or relationships. We'll stop and respect this. And then, of course, you always have the option of hiding the InterAction IQ scores. A couple of reasons why you may want to do this. You can hide InterAction IQ scores based, so they don't display for certain users. You may also find it appropriate to hide the relationship strength score if InterAction IQ is mainly used for marketing or business development teams. Or you're in there for a process of rolling out InterAction IQ. You may want to, hide the IQ scores except for those, during the middle of the rollout or until it's been rolled out. So when you're going through your testing environment, and you can hide the IQ scores, and then when you're ready to roll it out, you can expose all of them. So really, most importantly, InterAction IQ helps improve your organization's relationship management information in InterAction. The more contacts and relationships mined from professionals, the better your relationship data becomes over time. It's reliable, up-to-date relationship information better positions your organization for future business development initiatives. Now, I only touched on a very high level. If I encourage you to reach out to your account manager if you would like more details behind the scenes of exactly how does this work. We are more than happy to go over the demo and go into more details. But I am going to pass this back to Julia, and we have about 5 more minutes to open this up for any type of questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for your informative presentation. This does conclude the presentation portion of our webinar. As a reminder, if you do have any questions for Karen, please feel free to ask them via the questions pane located on your webinar control panel. And at this time, we don't have any questions, so we will give a couple moments for people to type in their questions. And it appears that you have done a very good job of covering it, Karen, because we do not have any questions on the line. So that does conclude today's webinar. And I would like to thank you, Karen, for your expert advice on today's topic, and to all of our attendees for taking time out of their busy day to join us. Thank you.